get even more practical on that, go through your inbox or your email for the last week. Who's somebody that's not on your team or your manager that sent you an email asking you for something or pinging you about something, and be like, do I?
This one really resonated with me because I like to focus on the commonality more than our differences. And it was just eloquent. You said, when you sit down and actually talk to another person, all the differences that exist between you just kind of go away. They just melt away. And you start to find that commonality. And that's a nugget that will stick with me long after this episode airs. So thank you for that. Um, I love the idea of approach every generation that's different from yours as someone that you can learn from. Very practical, right? Which it speaks to a lot of what we continually come back to, and it amazes me more and more the longer we've been doing it, how much of all of this stuff is about mindset shift. It's about it's mindset shift. So it's
Yeah.
Nothing about the other generation will change. It's how I view them that will change. Instead of seeing them as my adversary, I can see them as somebody I can learn something from. How does that shift you? Just the way you approach them, the way you communicate with them. I thought that was great. And then maybe that's the last one, and I promise I'll stop. But for the leader who's listening and thinking, yeah, okay, but this, okay, the last thing I want is for my people to be spending 15 minutes non-productive time sitting in somebody else's office and just talking about, you hear that, right? What's the ROI?
Yeah.
So to me, the practical is that connections and relationships, you said this earlier in the episode, connections and relationships ease it eases the stress, the anxiety, the silos, the escalations that happen in the organization. There is absolutely an ROI to this relationship building crap thing that we see as unproductive time. How much time would you get back if you didn't have those escalations? If problems were being solved by the two people who had them, if people were working well across functional lines in the organization, that's the ROI, and that's incredible.
Yeah, and I would think, again, going back to leaders thinking about this and thinking back over their careers and how they got where they got, I think if most leaders really thought through it, they could think of a time where they worked with somebody who they just solved the problem right away. They're like, I call that person up, we talk on the phone, or we get online or whatever. I go down to their office and I go, hey, this is going on. How can we fix this? Okay, I'll talk to this person. You talk to this person. Okay, good, solved, done. I think most people would think or come up with a situation where that had happened in their career. And if they could think about how fast that problem got solved, and I bet they could think of a lot of situations where they didn't know the other person. There was like infighting, there was arguing. Maybe it was civil, maybe it was professional, but there was meetings, there were work streams, there were groups that were formed. And how many hours did they spend on that? Like, I think people could probably think of those times as leaders that they've had those two situations and say, man, when I had that relationship, that made things so easy, right? It's back to that leveraging your time. Those relationships are such great leverage. And if you can do that, I mean, yeah, I don't know what the number is. I'm sure it's probably 5, 10x on your time. And
easily
that 15, 30 minutes is well spent to develop that relationship and solve so many problems down the road, that if you're saying I don't have 15, 30 minutes to send my people out and talk to other people in the organization, your team is not very efficient. Right. There's no way that they should be that structured. And they're, I mean, let's be honest, they're not, right? I mean, their team is jumping online, their team is trading messages, they're doing all sorts of other stuff that's not productive work. So just be honest with yourself. There's plenty of time for them to go have these conversations.
Awesome, Greg. Thank you. Okay, so if a listener is interested in finding you, connecting with you, what's the best way to do that? And then talk about your book and where we can find that as well.
Yeah, I would say a couple things. So the best way to connect with me, I would say, is on LinkedIn. Right. So I am on LinkedIn every day, every weekday, talking about networking. So if you were to go on LinkedIn and look up my name, or you could even look up the introverted networker, I have that in my title. And so you would come across my profile, and then you could follow me, you could connect with me. That's where, again, I am all the time. From there, I have a weekly newsletter called The Introverted Networker where I talk about networking. So you can find that through LinkedIn, or you could go look that up on Substack, and subscribe to that. I also have retention and rewards. .com. That's my website. And that's where people can go. If you go to retentionandrewards.com/gift, GIFT, if you go there, you can find the Relationship First Playbook, which is my sort of 5 ideas for managers to get their team more connected within their workplace. And so if anybody's interested in that, you can go there and find that. And from a book perspective, it's out on Amazon. It's called The Fast and Easy Guide to Networking for Introverts. So yeah, but all that stuff starts at LinkedIn. So if you kind of come to LinkedIn and you poke around my profile, you can find your way to all those things.